You know, one topic that I don't hear people talk much about? Most people call it Stockholm Syndrome, but I just say loving your abuser. Still being in love with your abuser if there was a relationship, or just in generally still loving the person who hurt you or harmed you, whether it was mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. I honestly don't believe that it's spoken about or talked about a lot because more people deal with it than we know, than you would think. I, for a fact, have experienced this myself. I think I'm still kind of going through this, but I can talk about it because I for sure have experienced it myself. Definitely. Now, when it's someone that was close to you, like in your family, a relative, it can be really difficult because it's hard to not love a relative. It's hard to. I mean, we doing it now. We stand on business. We breaking generational curses, right? We are detaching from those that fuck with our. Man, I gotta watch my cursing since I be creating content now on Facebook. I don't want them to flag the video, but we feel like we have this duty to love our families. But a lot of us are learning that we can detach from them, and it's all right to do that. You don't need permission. If you feel like someone is affecting your mental health, the best thing to do is separate and remove yourself from the situation. Y'all get me? Y'all feel me? Stay with me. But 9 times out of 10, when you see your homegirl continue to go back and forth and back to relationships or back to that man, or sometimes this can happen to males too. I don't like to leave the males out because I'm not biased. There's a lot of men who go through some of the things that we go through as women. I know women who have been abusive just as well as men. Most of the time, it's women, that's going through these experiences, but there could be men too. So I will say, y'all included. I'm not leaving y'all out. But when you see your home girl or you have that friend or that family member who constantly keeps going back to that person, it's because a part of her is still attached and still in love with that abuser. This can be a very dangerous thing. 222 on a timer, two confirmation. This can be a very dangerous thing because a lot of the time there have been cases where people have been unalived because they had this Stockholm syndrome and continue to go back to the person who hurt them, harmed them, mistreated them, and wronged them, right? Because they still loved them for whatever reason that is. I know for me, um, because I've dealt with the abandonment issues and I know how to feel, and not from a parent or parental. Well, actually, I did. My dad was not there. But because I know what that is, I technically subconsciously don't be realizing that my father really did abandon me because he popped in every 5 years. I'm not, as a child, I never quite connected it to being abandoned. But as I understand now, as being a grown ass adult, I was definitely abandoned. So it probably really did jump kick abandonment issues in me that I didn't know what it was. I had no name for it. So I know in many relationships that I've been in, and I've only been in three real relationships: with my daughter's dad, Marco, with my husband, and with Manir. Real relationships. I had a strong connection with my false twin flame, but I don't count that as a relationship. However, even in that situation, when we would break up or detach, it would be really hard for me to separate myself. And even though I may have got done wrong, talked too crazy, whatever, I still desire and still loved that person, and they didn't deserve that, especially the kind of love I give. Motherfuckers don't deserve that as it is. But even in occasions when I was married to my husband, there was things that he did that absolutely would have called for a normal person to fucking divorce, right? Um, just anger, his anger, right? Um, I never left. Even if I wanted to, I never left because I feel like it makes you feel bad for them for some reason. Like if I leave, especially when you know you're the best thing in a person's life, like you're the best thing in their life besides their kids, you're the best thing in their life, and you're the chosen one. So you usually are the one to keep them aligned and keep them at their best level, even if their best is really not the best. You keep them at their best level just because of who you are, right? That was my case. So I just would never leave. I would make excuses like, you know what? Like, no, everybody leaves this person or they just need somebody to love them. Da, 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 da. That is for sure Stockholm syndrome because you make excuses why you should go back to somebody who mistreated you, right? However, I won't use my husband as a complete example for this because at the end of the day, my husband was what he was supposed to be to me, right? I don't like nobody yelling at me, so I would divorce a nigga just for raising his voice at me. That's how I felt. But in other occasions, other situations that I have been through, I've definitely just couldn't. Even still now, my son's dad, I can't see the reason why I still love the shit out of him. Now, am I in love with him? I don't think so. Would I ever probably stop loving him? Probably not. But the love that I do have for him is a little more than what it should be. Like, I feel bad. Like, and I shouldn't feel bad when someone did something to me. And so that's just like examples when it comes to relationships. Even in friendships, I've been friends with people that I know that were fucking toxic. But yet, you know what I mean? I either allowed them to gaslight me to make me think that they just had a moment, or either I made excuses on why I still need to be attached to this person because they didn't mean it, or they love me, or we've been friends for however long. Like, you know what I mean? So when it comes to loving your abusers, I feel like it's just not talked about. People are ashamed and embarrassed to talk about it. A lot of us feel like that people are going to look down on you because you're still in love with somebody who they would deem as um, an abusive partner, a mentally unstable partner, somebody that's bad for your mental health. And even though half the time, if you got good friends and family in your life, they telling you the real, you feel me? And even though we might know that, it seems as if it's still hard to to release yourself. Now, I'm not even talking about in a spiritual stance, because in a spiritual stance, anybody that you're sleeping with, that you're having sex with, you do form a soul tie. Every time you do that, that person could be draining you. You might be draining that person, but there's a transfer that goes on with that. But when it's somebody that you ain't been with in a while, you ain't seen in a while, you know what I mean? And you still are yearning for them. You still tell yourself that they will be better, that they're gonna do better. If they apologize, then I'll accept them back. Like, yeah, it's just insane. And so I feel like it should be something that's talked about more. And we shouldn't shame those that are dealing with that. I wish somebody would shame me for my feelings, because you cannot help how you feel. But you can work on that. And I feel like therapy, my cousin just said this on Facebook, therapy is definitely something that I would suggest if you're dealing with Stockholm Syndrome. Therapy has helped me tremendously, because your therapist will let you know you're not wrong, and they will explain to you in detail why you feel the way you feel, because it's hard when you can't even understand why you feel the way you feel. But when someone else tells you, who's a professional licensed therapist, they know what they're doing, then they'll make it make sense. Like, you know what? At the end of the day, you're just a huge lover. You just a big lover, but you have to love yourself. And I think that's what it all boils down to is, do you love this person more than you love yourself? Because when you're loving someone more than you love yourself, of course you're going to be on bending knees, and you're going to accept anything, and you're going to believe anything that this person says. You're going to continue to go back because you haven't loved yourself enough. You haven't gave that love to yourself. You haven't poured that into your own cup. You constantly pouring it into the next person's cup. So I know with me, it's not something that I feel like I'm currently doing. Like, I still love my son's father, but at the same time, I love myself more. So even though a part of me will want to go back, because I shared happy moments. A lot of the time, that's what it is too. You've had good times with these people, but if the bad outweigh the good, then that is something that you need to think about. And a lot of time, the bad do outweigh the good. Sometimes the good can outweigh the bad. I would say the good between me and him outweighed the bad, but still, the bad was bad, and the bad is something that nobody should have to deal with. Especially when you're raising children, and children are being affected by it. So definitely get in therapy. Understand that it's nothing wrong with you, but at the same time, there's characteristic traits and things that you need tweaked and corrected when it comes to your mental, your mind, and how you take in. And self-love is literally the best love. I know it's cliche, but self-love is literally the best love. Once you learn to love yourself as much as you love that person, whether it's a mama, auntie, nigga, you will get out of that cycle. But it's all about loving yourself and understanding that you deserve the best. You deserve the best, and it's never a good reason. It's never a reason why somebody should disrespect you physically, mentally, or emotionally, okay? It's time to check out once that start happening. But yeah, let's stop making these conversations taboo, or making women feel bad because they keep going back, because it's always a reason behind something. Love you guys. Mwah.